Hello and welcome everyone. This is gonna be a quick guide on an all-in build. Usually when I'm streaming, the people always wanna see me all-in, even though that's not really my style. So I figured as one of my sub-goals I'm gonna do one explanation of a ZVZ all-in that is quite simple to play, so you can just copy that. And yeah, this game is gonna be versus Stefano in a ZVZ. So we're just going to look at this from my vision. The opening is going to be very standard. It's going to be 16 hatch, 18 gas, 17 pool. Very standard opening. It also works if you want to go pool before gas. This map is slightly hard to hold 12 pools on with hatch first. You can hold everything with hatch first, don't get me wrong. But if you are not feeling confident in your 12 pool defense, I would suggest for you to still go 16 hatch. 16 hatch is very important. And then I make 2 extra drones. This drone always gets rallied to the mineral patch, and then if I would go pool before gas, I would rally this to make my pool, and then right after the pool I would take my gas, which makes it so the gas timings pretty much line up similarly. But this is the very standard opening where I rally this drone towards the geyser, and then the next one towards the spawning pool. I make my pool here because it extends my vision, so there's no Zerglings that are gonna sneak in here without me noticing it. And then, yeah, we're just gonna fill up the gas. Drone, then the next drone is the 20th drone. By now we would have seen a 12th pool coming, or a 13, 12. So we're gonna make this in an extra drone. A lot of players do not know yet that this is more efficient than 20 Overlord, if you don't plan on making 4 Zerglings right away, which you do not need to, because this Overlord will scout everything in time for you to reactively do that. So again, we made the 21st drone, and then we start double queen, drone at the natural, Overlord in the main base. I'm making the you get these 2 larvae at the same time, but you make the drone at the natural so it loses less mining time. And now the first part of the build order that you need to remember is, as soon as you approach 100 gas, you pull 2 drones off gas, and you get speed right away. And then after this Overlord, the next 2 drones we make are gonna get rallied back into the gas. This is so that the build lines up a bit better. Like those drones mine a couple extra minerals, rather than if you would just keep them in gas, you would just float a bit of gas. And the second thing that this changes is that this Overlord will see more drones at the natural. Usually the Overlord is supposed to stay here for a bit longer, and he would see that I can have a maximum of 1 drone in gas, which is the case. So again, we pull 2 off gas at 100, and then the next 2 drones we make get rallied back into the gas in our main base. We take our hatchery at 30 supply. Now one thing to notice is I didn't make any Zerglings. You don't really need to, you're safe. I scouted it was a hatch first from my vision. But if my opponent were to make any Zerglings already, I would have matched the Zergling count right away, because you need to chase with this build. So I didn't even explain what the build is going to look like. It's going to be a Roach Allin, a very early Roach Allin with a BanelingNest, but you will skip the BanelingNest to begin with, in order to get the RoachWarren out earlier, and in order to get on a bit of pressure. And in order to skip the BanelingNest, you need to have at least the same amount of Zerglings as your opponent out on the map early, in order to prevent him from morphing Banelings on your side. As long as he doesn't morph Banelings on your side, this build is completely fine. So yeah, I'm gonna make Zerglings now. This is the first 2 Zerglings I see. We're going up to 27 drones. I have 26, and this is the 27th drone. And from now on, we're not making any drones anymore. We have 27 drones, we have 3 in gas, and now we're just making a bunch of Lings. We do not make a 3rd queen. This Overlord I started 32 supply. And right now, this first inject goes completely into Zerglings. So I'm making the Zerglings here. And right after you make the Zerglings, you make the RoachWarren. I actually misclicked here, I made a spike on accident for a second. You really do not want his scouting Zerglings to see the RoachWarren. If they see it, it's not that terrible, but preferably you would like to deny scouting. In this case, I let them go into my main base and then block his path to the natural, so I put it in the natural. You can also just block this ramp with 1 queen and 2 Zerglings, which is also fine. Just it's very good to deny vision of what's going on. And after this round of Zerglings, we make 3 Overlords. That's to set us up for the rest of the game. We don't need any additional Overlords, and we will have enough minerals to make the Roaches anyways. I do this so it simplifies the build order a bit, so we don't need to worry about the Overlords anymore. Usually I would only make 2, then the Roaches, then an extra Overlord. But in this case I made 3. And we make the Baneling Nest once the RoachWarren is 3/4 of the way done. Once it goes to yellow HP, you want to make the Baneling Nest. This is so once the Roaches arrive on the other side of the map, you can morph Banelings right away.
Swarm forces under attack.
And now we put pressure on this. You do not want to lose all the Zerglings, but if you can get trades, even just even trades, they don't need to be fantastic trades at all, you should take them. Because it forces him to use more larvae into making Zerglings, which is exactly what you need. And now the second thing this does, and why this is so good with this build order, is that you see what he's busy defending right now. He's not scouting with any Zerglings. And unless you're playing Cyril, there's a high chance that your opponent won't, while he's defending, also scout for these Roaches. Because if he would see that you're only on this few drones and a RoachWarren, he would make a RoachWarren by himself. Now Stefano went for an early RoachWarren himself, which is very uncommon to do it this early. Usually you go for an Evo Chamber yourself first, and then you delay the RoachWarren, but he played it very safe with an early RoachWarren. This is worst case, but we will see that it's still gonna be fine. Now I'm just trying to find some trades here. Also keep him occupied, as I said before. And we're making 10 Roaches. 10 Roaches, and then you just move across the map with the Roaches. You can wait here until you have like 4 or so, because just going across the map with 2 doesn't really do anything. Now he knows what's up, and he's only at 39 drones. So he's at a pretty good drone count. He already has a RoachWarren, he didn't start any upgrades. He's in a pretty good spot, right? Like this is pretty much as good as it's gonna get. And now as soon as we have Roaches on the other side, we start morphing the Banelings. If your opponent is not aggressive with the Zerglings, you can also start morphing the Banelings a bit before. And then I'm just gonna go in. You can see I have 3 different hotkeys. This is in order to micro this properly. I have the Roaches and the reinforcements on 1, the Zerglings at 3, and the Banelings on 2. But it's also fine to just... The only thing you really need is an extra hotkey for the Banelings. So then this attack should hit around the same time. Like I'm at 450 on his side of the map with the Roaches, the Banes, and the Zerglings. Try to hit for the exact same timing. Even if you're, let's say, Diamond or Platinum League, you should try to hit at the same time. It's really not that hard to hit the first couple of Injects perfectly. While doing this, yeah. And then the fight goes on. The obvious things first, you try to avoid the Banelings with the Zerglings, but you try to attack with them as much as possible, and you try to zone out his Zerglings with your Banelings. I saw that this RoachWarren was already done, so I was a bit more aggressive than usual with my Zerglings. Usually I would just go in with Roach and Bane at the start. The reason for that is usually the RoachWarren just now is done. He already has Roaches almost done. That is not common. Usually this very often leads to an attack where you're up against only Ling Bane, and all you need to do is zone out his Zerglings with your Banelings while your Roaches take good trades. Okay, I didn't see the Zergling, I didn't quite see the Zergling. So this wasn't perfectly microed by me at all, but we're still doing fine here. It's just a very strong build. If you're wondering on how to hold this, I think you should start Spines. I think his drone count was fine, he should have started like 2 Spines or so. Once he scouted it, but he saw it the moment we walked out here with our Overlord, so that's a bit late. And now the way you execute it once you're in here is you just decisively go on Roaches that are undefended. If there's no units here, I would just send 3 Zerglings here to deny the mining if there's any drones here. And yeah, now we're just going in, catching his Roaches one at a time. You can morph low HP Roaches into Ravagers. We don't really need Banelings at this point, so that's how we spent the additional gas we're getting. We're still injecting at home. Try to not miss the injects, but microing is more important than macroing at this stage. So unless you're sure there's no Banelings or your units are doing fine right now, then go back to inject really quick, because injecting, even though it only takes half a second, it can decide between a loss and a win. So yeah, that's the build, that's the all-in. I think it's pretty simple to do. It works on the very highest level. of StarCraft 2, so it should work on a lot of levels. Just make sure to not do this against, if you're playing against 2-base layer, you shouldn't do this because the Zerglings are not going to do anything. They're going to have a RoachWarren in time. So this is for standard games where you and your opponent are taking early third bases. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. I hope you enjoyed it. And I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone who subscribed. If you guys want to thank anyone for all of these videos, there's still going to be a lot of them coming up in the future. Don't thank me, but thank everyone who subscribed. And if you want to have more of those videos yourself, make sure to just tune in to my Twitch. And if you want to support me, you can subscribe there. So thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.